Hey everybody, it's GauntletX, and Momir is back for this week's Midweek Magic. For those who don't know, this is the random chaos format where everyone's bringing a deck of 60 basic lands, and the only way to cast creatures, the only way to play cards in general, is to use the Factory of Momir Vig. So you spend X mana and discard a card to create a token that's a copy of a random creature with mana value X. You do that at sorcery speed and once each turn. So this format is just a back and forth with players making the biggest creature they can and just seeing what pops out of the Factory of Momir Vig, hoping for the best, hoping for some evasive creatures like flying creatures and unblockable cards, hoping for some big, bomb, scary creatures. It's just random chaos fun times, and I enjoy it quite a bit. Now, it isn't a format for everyone for sure. For the more competitive-oriented players that don't really like high variance stuff, this might not be one for you, but it is completely free, as it is this week's Midweek Magic Event, and for your first couple wins, you'll get a random rare reward, and the third will be your mystery cosmetic, as in every Midweek Magic Event. So with that intro out of the way, let's just grind out some games of Momir. Well, our round one opponent has either failed to connect or is just intentionally roping, so, I mean, we'll see. See if they show up here, but now we get to be on the play and they're on the draw. Our first pickup is the Tarkir Duneshaper, and what's really cool with this is that these transform cards didn't work in Momir in the past, but now that they made incubator tokens, they actually made a ruling where tokens can flip, tokens can have a backside to them. So if you create a token copy of a card that has a backside, like Tarkir Duneshaper, you can actually transform it, which is pretty sweet. And it seems like our round one opponent has just failed to show up, so we will be getting our first reward for free. So a bit of a bummer not to get to play any Magic here, but we've got several other rounds to play through some games. And we will get to see what our random rare reward is. Alright, for our first random rare reward, I'm always hoping for just some gems to spend on some future draft events, and I do have a full collection of a good chunk of the standard legal sets, so it is possible we get some gems, and we did get some gems from Wilds of Eldraine for the first victory reward. Alright, here we are for game two. I'm just going to be starting with 1-drops here. Because you have to discard a card to the emblem every turn that you make a creature, if you wait the first couple turns, that means you'll make it to higher mana values, so you'll end up playing 8 or 9 mana creatures at random instead of 6 or 7 mana creatures at random. But I think out of the creatures that are on Arena, there's plenty of pretty pushed 1 and 2 mana creatures, so you can start really early if you're a bit impatient like I am today. I just want to get aggro and get jamming in. I actually don't even know what this thing does. Discard 2 cards to draft the card from its spell book. That's probably not worth it in Momir, because any card we discard could just be a 6 or 7 mana creature later. So it's just a 1-2, unfortunately. Our opponent starts with a Dwarven Forge Chanter, and this is one of the issues with starting with 1 and 2 drops, is now they've blanked both of our first 2 creatures with a single 1. So these could have been 2 more lands getting us to higher mana values, but they also could have been, oh my god, they also could have been like a Llanowar Elves that taps for a mana, or a 2-mana creature that has flying or something like that. Like, they could have been relevant cards, and Scute Swarm is a tremendously relevant card that should completely win us the game if our opponent doesn't just kill us with flyers really quickly, or if they don't hit removal. Removal isn't the most common in Momir, since all you can do is get creatures, so you have to find creatures that have enter the battlefield effects to blow up other creatures, but it could happen. And they need to find removal before we play our 6th land, because once we play our 6th land, we're going to get more copies of the Scute Swarm. And then they'll need multiple removal spells. They need some gigantic creature that deals 3 to everything when it hits the board, something like that. Like a Chaos Maw is what I'm thinking of. It's like a 7 mana 6/6 or something like that. Deals 3 to everybody. There's Volley Veteran, they did it! Alright, it's pretty great luck there for our opponent. They had 2 more turns to stop us from just straight winning the game off Scute Swarm, and they certainly did it. Trade a 1/1 for the 3/1 here. Let's see what we get on turn 5 now. Ooh, I got removal as well. I guess we get to fight the Forge Chanter then, which lets us start getting in with everybody with at least 2 power. Take that action. And this can't be blocked by more than 1 creature, so they could still trade the Veteran into it. Don't hate the 4-drop for 4-drop trade. That's probably fine. Thera Angel, that's an incredible one for Momir. Probably should always pre-combat your creature in case you hit something with haste, but just got a little instinctual there, really wanting to get the Thera Angel trade. Doesn't matter, our 6-drop did not have haste, and it is a very good one, actually. Can't be blocked except by 3 or more creatures. So that's going to be really hard for our opponent to block here, and they're down to 13 already, so that's a huge deal. Ooh, that's really good. Another flyer that also ramps them up, so they get to play 8 mana cards next turn if they want. They're going to have to go real quick here, though, to win this game, because we've got quite a bit of damage on the board that's quite evasive. And they're down to 13, and there's a 6/6 Trampler, which helps get more damage in, too. Yeah, they're going to need a very solid hit soon. Basically this turn, because the 6/5 is almost guaranteed to hit them. If they don't hit a token producer, it's going to hit them. Which means we're putting them to 1 no matter what, so if I attack in with the entire board, should just be dead. Let's see what that is. Look at the top 4, put 1 into your hand, the rest on the bottom. I think that's it. So they are dead on board. And it's going to be our first actual victory, but it will be our second random rare reward. Let's see what this second reward is. It is going to be, ooh, an actual card, a mythic? Blade Coil Serpent from the Brothers War. Really cool card. It is a colorless 6 mana and X 5/4, but it's much more of a multicolored card than it looks like, because you can spend double blue on it to draw a card, double black on it to make your opponent discard a card, double red on it to give it +1/+0 trample and haste, and it's for each double blue, each double black, each double red, so however much mana you have, you can just dump into that X. So if for some reason you've got some infinite mana combo or something going on, you can just make it 1,000,000 power and make your opponent discard 1,000,000 cards and draw 1,000,000 cards. That part you probably don't want to do. But yeah, really cool card for sure. We are now heading into game 3, which could be the final boss if we can get that mystery cosmetic off of this victory. That would be a quick one. Let's start with 1 mana plays. Again, we're going nice and quick today. If you can't tell, I am a little bit under the weather coming back from the Magic Con. Got a little bit of the con crud, so trying to preserve my voice for future recordings. If we can jam this out real quick. Rest myself up, do a bigger recording session tomorrow is the plan. But I do got to get a video out to you all for today, and do love me some Momir, so here we are. So Champion of Wits, the enter the battlefield effect not really doing anything in Momir. Draw 2, discard 2. Doesn't matter, everything you have is a basic land regardless. What is that? Sack a creature, make it a 4/4 flying haste? Ooh, that is incredibly relevant later in the game. Once our 2/1s and 2/2s become completely useless, we can just start getting 4 damage in with them. That's really cool. And that'll be incredible if we manage to hit a token producer like a Scute Swarm again. Inspiring Captain, just a 3/3, but that does wall off our 2/2 until we ascend. Once we get the city's blessing, this will be flying. So once we have 10 permanents on board. Ooh, backup? What does the backup do? Can't be blocked by creatures with power 2 or less. Just back up the dragon so I hit for 5 in the sky in the future. Actually, I'll still back up the aspirants, because I'm 1 turn away from that jumping into the sky. All right, 5 drop from our opponent is okay. We lose if we don't find removal. It's a 4/4 flying lifelink. We have to discard a card every time it attacks, and when we discard land cards, which will be every time it attacks, and every time we use the emblem, they're going to get a 1/1 bat. All right, this game is looking incredibly over if we don't insta-hit removal for that, because now we give them a bats. Well, that would have worked, except that they can keep attacking with this right now. That is sad. This makes all of their creatures block it, but it doesn't have haste. So we can't force the Aclazotz to block there. Alright, All-Seeing Arbiter. Now they hit a gigantic flyer. Gives something -1 power each turn, so I can't even try to block and trade with Aclazotz. Wow, what a hit. Oh my god. That was like our one onboard out here, is that I could sack a creature and make this thing a 4/4 till end of turn with flying to try to trade. But because tokens do have backsides, they would still get the Temple of the Dead, which means they would still get Aclazotz back again. Oh wait, no, they wouldn't. They wouldn't, because this one has to fully die and then return to the battlefield, and if a token dies, it is gone. So it doesn't just straight up flip on board like other transform cards. So yeah, if we did manage to get the trade here, we would have cleared it out, so they needed to hit an incredible card like All-Seeing Arbiter to actually get Aclazotz in this turn. Oh, we are getting really demolished on this one. This is not looking remotely winnable. Oh my god, it gets the minus until their next turn. It does, wow. A long time. Yeah, get another bat. There's the Honey Mammoth. So we wipe out most of the board. All creatures able to block it do so. So everybody else can get in, I guess. No, we save the flyers back. We save the flyers back to double block and try to get rid of Aclazotz here. And wipe out their board. They draw a bunch of cards, but they're all going to be lands. That just means they get to however high of a mana cost they want. Which is fine. Like, once you've made it to 8 mana, like, card draw doesn't really matter in Momir from that point on. And they were already pretty locked in for that. Man, we would have also made it to 7 mana here. No! The Meteor Golem to kill the... Oh. I was going to say the Meteor Golem to kill the Hellkite thing, but they choose to kill the Honey Mammoth. That's fine. I could respond by sacking it, but then they just won't attack with Aclazotz, and I would rather get them to attack with Aclazotz. Potentially. 2 for 1 myself to clear this thing out, because if I don't clear it out, like, it 5 million for one's me with all these bats. Alright, we're stuck at 6 mana because they made us discard a card. We would have been at 7. Well, there we go. Fight Aclazotz, and we're slightly in this game. Not majorly, but slightly. Don't think it is worth sacking a creature to try to chip in for 4 here, nor is it worth trading our 3/3 for their 3/3. They are at significantly higher mana values than us, so their average card is going to be much bigger than us, but it is still possible to get much luckier. Like so. Never mind. They did put a lot of really bad filler, like 8 and 9 mana cards on, so that those mana costs would be less consistent and not like always the dream goal there. I still could have stopped 1 damage for free. But Havison's in there too. But yeah, there's like a 8 mana, 8/6 trample and stuff like that. Sack any number of artifacts, enchantments, or tokens and draw that many cards? That is completely worthless to me right now. I guess if I really want to hit land 7/8, I can ditch this Kavu. None of this is helping against all this indestructible anyway. I guess I just trumpet Avacyn. Die quickly, sure. Let's get some lands. Maybe I can hit exactly Hoverguard Sweepers next turn as my 1 out. Hoverguard Sweepers is an 8 mana 5/6 with flying that lets you return 2 target creatures to their owner's hands when it hits the board. And when you return a token to somebody's hand, it ceases to exist, and that gets around indestructibility. If I hit a Meteor Golem or something like that, it's not going to work. Wow. They legitimately just went Avacyn into Zakama. Zakama was the old win con in Momir on Arena because it was the only 9 mana creature on Arena. So it was always a race to Zakama because this card just gives you all the flexibility and all the options there to completely take over the game. So because that was how Momir always played out, that's when they threw in a bunch of random filler creatures that were much worse than Zakama at 9 mana, and a bunch of filler at 8 mana and 7 mana as well. Alright, well, I'm pretty sure we're dead on board if they want us to be. Using Zakama to clear out like a blocker here and then just sending in with everybody. Because they've got 9 mana here. So they can clear out my 7/7, attack with the whole board. I can trump 8 and take exactly 14. Opponent decides not to quite lethal us yet. They want to hit a Kozilek instead. This is kind of hilarious. Because it's very difficult to prove my point that they put a bunch of filler at the higher mana costs if my opponent never hits the filler. But I have showed off the filler stuff in a lot of other Momir videos. Like I think there's a Draco or something, like a 10 mana 5/5 that doesn't do much as well. There's like a wolf. Oh my god. There's like a wolf pack that's like an 8/6 that just assigns damage as though it weren't blocked, but it still just kind of dies when it sends in if your opponent has a high enough life total. I've not had the greatest experiences with super high mana costs on Arena Momir lately, so that's why I'm going pretty low curve, pretty aggro, but our opponent just had the best experience possible. That was probably like the best creature at every single one of those mana costs. Avacyn, Zakama, Kozilek, World Spine Worm. Alright, guess I'll die. We are on to game 4. No, useless Ingenious Prodigy. Yeah, maybe we stop doing the 1-drop plan. It is really backfiring on us today. Just used to a lot of previous Momir videos where I'm waiting until 2-3 mana, and then our opponent is starting on turn 1 and getting Llanowar Elves, starting turn 2 getting Naga Vitalists, like getting the mana ramp. Certainly doesn't work that way for me. Apparently my goal should always just be starting on turn 3, so we get to higher mana values. What does this even do? If you control Bosri, it does something, so absolutely nothing. 3 mana, what do we got? Lagrella. So they'll be exiled forever with Lagrella's ability, so that's actually very good. Since they are tokens, they won't come back to the board. They've already ceased to exist. Ooh, Legolas. They can't cast any spells, though, so just a 1/4 reach. Still cool. And they're already over it. They are not a fan of their first couple hits, and they are going to scoop them up there, which means we have got our third victory, although 2 of them were not particularly earned. I mean, how earned is your average Momir victory, though? It is quite random. Let's see what our mystery cosmetic is here. See if we get some really cool stuff. We do get a parallax card style for Lumbering Laundry, my least favorite kind of mystery cosmetic, or just cosmetic on Arena in general, simply because they are by far the most common. There's one for almost every single card, and I do hate the mirroring of the artwork on the edges, as you can see when it warbles around. Look at the very left there, how there's like a big triangle forming because they mirrored the artwork, and the far right there, you can see the mirroring going on. It just, it bugs me a little bit. I don't know why. But I'm not a big fan of those parallax styles. But that is still free value. It's free stuff. We got some gems. We got a sweet mythic. So we got some cool stuff out of the event. But that is going to end the video for today. I am going to get some rest, hopefully come back at you all tomorrow, a lot more energized and ready for some more drafts. Going to be playing a little bit more Wilds of Eldraine and a lot more Murders at Karlov Manor. Some more best of 3 practicing for the Arena Open potentially, and then the Arena Open this weekend. So big competitive Magic on the horizon. Should be some cool stuff. Until then, as always, I'd like to thank my patrons and YouTube members for their support, as well as you for watching the video. If you enjoyed this video and are interested in seeing more like it, you can always like, comment, and subscribe to tell the YouTube algorithm to send you some more on your recommended feed. If you'd like to catch me live, you can check out the Twitch channel in the link in the description below. And if you'd like to support the channel directly, you can check out the Patreon link in the description below. But other than that, as always, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you again soon for some more Magic Arena.